Welcome back to the Enough Mom podcast. I am Jennifer Bryant, and today's episode is 110, Breaking the Cycle, Why Emotional Intelligence is the most important leadership skill you will ever learn, especially as a mother. Emotional intelligence is one's ability to regulate their emotional responses, your nervous system. So much of being a mother is about responding to our kids or how we respond to our kids. And in effect, it teaches our kids how to respond in stressful situations as well. Emotional intelligence also helps us to be more in tune with the people around us. Some people are given, I believe, a higher dose of emotional intelligence naturally. Some of that comes from our natural temperaments, and a lot of it is learned. I'm going to talk about the skills today that need to be learned in order to lead your kids well, in order to impress upon them a skill set that teaches them how to react in real life situations, that teaches them how to form better and more healthy relationships with the people around them. So let's dive in to these concepts. Now, I want to warn you, some parts of this episode might sting a little. And I don't mean to come across critical. I don't mean to point fingers. I'm actually not pointing fingers at anyone. If anything, it would be pointing fingers at myself because I have tripped up in this area so many times. And I will share with you exactly how I've done it, so you don't feel like the worst mother in the world. The fact is, learning about emotional intelligence is both terrifying and incredibly hopeful. It has the potential to be both of those things because both things deal with the choices that we make in life, right? And because we cannot take our choices back, all we can do is hopefully take steps to repair the damage that we may have caused in our reactions, in not taking the time to think things through or to be patient or to not take something too personally. We're all learning this together. And that's exactly why I created Enough Mom, because we all need to be in this together to see and accept ourselves, to see and accept others for who we've been, but more importantly, to learn more about where we're going. I saw a Facebook reel yesterday by a leadership expert, Simon Sinek, and he said something that was so impactful. He was talking to another person saying, imagine if we taught in our MBA classes, our Masters of Business Administration classes, that how you lead will directly affect someone's health. He was actually talking about corporate leadership and how bosses, managers who lead with emotional intelligence create healthier, more productive staff. Research shows that toxic leadership can lead to all kinds of health issues with employees within a company. It puts employees at risk of heart disease, depression, chronic stress when they have toxic leaders who they can't trust. When you're running a company and expecting everyone to fall in line just because you're the boss or just because you're pulling your authoritative card or you think that this is how things are done with an iron fist and things, you may have had a boss like this in your life. You may have worked for someone like this. Heck, you may be married to someone like this who has tendencies toward controlling situations instead of opening up and relating better. When leaders are unpredictable, reactive, and emotionally unsafe, their employees' nervous systems are on high alert. Their cortisol levels spike. Their health deteriorates. Mama, we may not be leading in companies, or maybe some of you are, who knows, but we are leading tiny humans. And how we lead, how we regulate our own nervous system is literally shaping their health, their safety, and their future relationships. If a boss's leadership style can affect an employee's own cardiovascular health, how much more do you think a mother affects the future health of her children? Your child's brain is constantly developing no matter what stage they're in. And we get to, from the other side of childhood as adults, we get to be part of that development, not just in character, in living life skills, although those things are important, but how we respond to our children affects the development of their brain and their entire nervous system. A few episodes ago, I was talking with Lisa Michelle Jones in our interview, and she mentioned the thermostat effect. how mothers are the thermostat of our home, how we set the temperature, the emotional temperature for our home. You know that saying, when mom is not happy, ain't nobody happy? Well, it's true, because we determine what emotional state the house is in for the most part, And this is especially true if you're a stay-at-home mom as well, or if you're in charge of taking care of household things, And mamas, hear me out. This is not to put a huge emotional burden on you. We're just identifying where a lot of these things can come from. And if you are the mom in charge of the household, in charge of the kids' schedules, you're the one interfacing and interacting with them the most, then we're talking about you as the thermostat. I am most definitely the thermostat in my home. I set the tone. I set the pace for how my kids experience life here. Growing up, my dad was the owner of an air conditioning business. My brother now owns that same business. And being in the HVAC industry means that you understand how air conditioning works, right? You understand that when the AC is on, you have to close the doors. That little box on the wall, that thermostat, sets the temperature. It sets the standard, really, for the whole house. When the thermostat is broken, it's not working, then usually people in the house are miserable. They're too cold or too hot. I grew up in Southern California, and usually we were too hot. So the AC was a huge gauge for how we were all feeling in the house. We weren't allowed to touch it. We weren't allowed to mess with the temperature, because that standard needed to be there to keep everything leveled and cool in the house. So in the same way, and again, mamas, this is not to put pressure on you. This is just to reveal the power that you already hold so that you can harness it in a way that affects your family well. Because on the flip side of things, right, if things are off with you, if you are not taking care of yourself, then it's going to affect other people, whether you like it or not, whether you want to admit it or not. I'm kind of being a jerk to my family because I didn't take care of myself. I didn't get enough sleep. I'm not eating right. I'm not dealing with my stress or managing myself well. I just have to be honest, right? I have to be honest with me and go, okay, what can I change? Not what does everyone else need to change around me to make me feel better, but what can I change? What am I responsible for so I can show up better for my family? Have you ever worked for a boss who's unpredictable? Maybe one day they're fine and the next day they're slamming doors and taking it out on their employees. What do? You kind of try to avoid them, right? You steer clear of the warpath. You avoid interacting with them. And mamas, our kids do the same thing. When we're in a mood, when we haven't dealt with our own stuff yet, they avoid us. We're not a safe place, they have learned, right? I know my kids have done this to me before. They just kind of skirt away, and even the dog, my little puppy dog right here who's laying next to me right now, he can sense when I'm in a mood and he runs to the other room. He hides under the bed. And that has been a really interesting indicator to me, because I can come up with excuses for why my kids are avoiding me. Oh, they're just being this and that. They're just teenagers, whatever. But when the dog does it, come on, Jen, get it together. It really makes me stop and think, because you know how animals can sense things too. There's really no getting away from it. There's no hiding from that truth. And if you can begin with being honest with who you are being today, then that's one good step in the direction of, okay, I can change. I can do this differently. It's not always everyone else's fault. We got this, mama. We can do better. I remember this so vividly. This is one of my harder stories. I remember my daughter, Chloe, she was a baby. She couldn't have been more than a year and a half, maybe. She was riding in the car with me, and I was incredibly frustrated. She would not stop crying. And it was this piercing cry. And at the time, I was driving a truck that didn't have air conditioner, and I had to roll down the windows, and my hair was going everywhere. And it was just a day where I felt like I couldn't control much. And this little girl was screaming. I was so angry. I parked and I yelled at her. I screamed back at her to stop. I think I said stop or something, or be quiet, and I remember her little face. I will never forget her little face. Her eyes got so wide. She was afraid. She was afraid of me. And it's an image that I can't get out of my head. I know that I did it. I think my brain has tried to block it out, but maybe it's preserved it for this time and place to share with you, because I am so ashamed about that day. But I've since forgiven that younger mom. I would not do it the same way now, but I can look back and know that I was so dysregulated. I did not go through the steps to calm myself down. I may have known better, maybe not. But in the moment, Mom, when you're in the moment and just all these things are hitting you at once, I couldn't do anything but scream at this tiny little girl. I immediately felt horrible. I opened the doors. After I parked, I opened the doors. I unbuckled her from her seat and I took her out and I held her. She let out the biggest burp ever. And immediately I said, "No, honey, I'm sorry. You just had gas. You were uncomfortable. You were crying because you had this big gas bubble." And she was totally fine after that. Totally fine. But this poor defenseless thing was trying to tell her mommy what she needed, and all mommy could think of was how much she was annoyed, how much I was annoyed at her crying. Maybe you find yourself in similar positions, and I have done other things since then where I've just lost it on my kids, but it was a moment where I felt like, okay, this rage is boiling over and I need to let it out without even thinking, what will the release of my rage do to my children? I knew in the moment that it made me feel better. I got to vent, but it wasn't doing good things for my kids. Every time I chose not to practice self-control over my own nervous system or calm myself in ways that were much more healthy, every time I did not choose that, I chose to unleash something onto my children, but onto their nervous system. And what that means, mamas, is whenever, our children are afraid of us like that look that they give us when, we cannot meet their needs. They keep crying because they don't know how to stop crying. They literally can't. Their brains are just firing on all cylinders because, that's just how our brains work. And when we cannot respond to them the way they need, in fact, when we go against that and respond in a way that scares them, it heightens their cortisol levels, their stress levels. And the more that we do that to our children, the higher their stress levels get. And when someone has a consistently high cortisol level of stress, it's easier for them to develop anxieties. It's easier for them to struggle with mental and emotional health issues because their brains are on high alert because of this perceived danger. Even if we're not threatening their lives or anything, but our anger, we're just throwing our anger at them all the time. It's around them. They're in the same room. They can sense it, right? Their nervous systems match with our nervous systems. And when we cannot help ourselves to calm down, we put it on them. And then when we don't give our kids tools to calm themselves, they're going to live in a constant state of fight or flight. They're going to be more prone to crying, to rage fits, to just emotional dysregulation until we come alongside them and help them to learn calm. This is sort of the best way that I can describe it to you as a layperson. I hope to bring on more experts in this field, other psychologists or medical experts that can tell you exactly what's going on with your system. But I can tell you as a mom who's been there and done that and made many mistakes. And also on the other side of things, I have tried to do things differently. And when I come in with a calm tone and a calm voice, even when someone else is freaking out about something, we both get calm much faster. So I want the same for you, Mama. I want you to remember me describing this to you today. Maybe the next time you feel overwhelmed and overloaded and everything in you just wants to scream or yell, please remember that whatever your body is wanting to do, you can take control over. You can breathe, take deep breaths. You can ground yourself. You can remind yourself of the truth that I don't want to mess with how they are developing. So I'm going to calm myself. I'm going to go into another room and calm down so that I don't lash out on them. Whatever you can do. But I'm telling you, Mama, the deep breaths, go there first. Try your best to get yourself to a place where you're not believing every horrible thought that comes into your mind. I'm a highly sensitive person, so I'm sensitive to sight, sound, smells, temperatures, all those types of things. And when my nervous system is in a good place, those things bother me a lot less. But when it's not, when I've not been getting enough sleep, when I've been eating junk, when I'm not practicing the breathing, or if I'm not in a state of prayer or something, then things are going to get wonky, right? So what I want you to take away from this episode today is just to be reminded that you are in control of more than you think. And the minute that you feel the need to lash out or for yourself to feel better, just know that it's going to affect the people around you. If there's anyone around you today that can be affected, they will be affected. So please, please do your best to learn better ways to calm your nervous system. Motherhood has this way of revealing parts about ourselves that we've never had to face before. Before I had kids, I could control my environment. I could calm down in a stressful situation because it was just me I had to worry about. I could distract myself. But kids are relentless. Everything about them can trigger us at one point or another. When we're triggered, we have nothing left to give sometimes, and the cracks start to show. But just remember that this common experience of motherhood means that, okay, something is being revealed. Something about how I deal with stress is being shown to me through the mirror of my children. And that's what they are. They're little mirrors. They show us what we need to work on, And we can get better. Listen, I not only want to meet you in the hard parts of motherhood, in the common struggles of this is hard. Raising tiny humans is hard and annoying sometimes, right? But also, I want to meet you in the very human parts of where we are as women, as leaders who are responsible for these little people. And I don't mean to heighten your responsibility, because this is something we don't really need to be reminded of. Of course, we're responsible, but we also have the capacities to learn how to respond better. And you know what? It's going to help you too. It's not just about self-control for the sake of others. It's self-control that helps to heal us on the inside, because maybe no one taught us how to do that, And it's okay. This is part of kind of reparenting. I think our whole, especially the millennial generation of moms right now, we are sort of learning how to reparent ourselves sometimes, because we didn't always get what we needed then, maybe, but we can learn to get it for ourselves now. And this is why we're here together. So what does it look like when a mom's nervous system is regulated? When it's at that perfect 72-degree mark? We're not striving for perfection, by the way, but you get what I mean. The analogy, we're continuing the thermostat analogy. So at what age can we start with? Let's start with 0 to 3. 0 to 3 years old. When your thermostat is regulated, let's say your baby's crying at 2 a.m., but you are able to take a deep breath. Breathe in, breathe out. Even though your crying baby just woke you up again, you can take a deep breath. You're definitely tired. Okay, we're not denying that. But you can approach your baby's crib with what attachment researchers call soft eyes. Instead of like, this kid woke me up again. If you're watching YouTube right now, my eyes are big and annoyed. Instead, you can approach them with soft eyes. You know, that look that when you squint and smile at your baby, you're keeping this sweet human alive, and you get to respond to it. You get to be the mom in this moment. You get to pick your baby up and think, little one, you were having a hard time, but let me help you. You were having a hard time, but let me help you. See, we're correcting our thoughts now. We're changing the way that we think about stressful situations. And we're coming in softer. In this moment, you are being the kind of leader who stays calm in a crisis. In these first few months of life, your baby is literally learning regulation from your nervous system. Your baby is so close to you, physically and emotionally. It is learning from your nervous system. Or how about the toddler years? Your toddler is screaming in the middle of Target because they want a toy that they can't have. Instead of yelling or bribing or yanking their arm to get in the basket or let's get out of here or something, instead, you can approach them more calm, even though they're still freaking out. This doesn't mean that they will stop freaking out because they're still toddlers. They're still learning all of this stuff, okay? But what you can control, mama, is to approach them calmly. This is so important. Kneel down, get on their level, make eye contact with them, and acknowledge the feeling they're having. This is so important. The more we can learn to do this as moms, the more our kids will trust us emotionally. Even though they don't understand in the moment, even though they can't quite calm down because they don't have the big picture like we do, that's okay. That's not what we're trying to control right now or stop. We're trying to help them to stay connected with us so that they know that we're a loving, trusting adult, even though they are not getting what they want. So you lean down, look at your toddler and say, I know you're disappointed. I know you're upset, but I'm here with you. It's okay. I'm here with you. We're not getting this right now. We'll get it later. You will be okay. Not you're okay, because they don't feel okay. You will be okay, or everything will be okay. See, they need you to set not only the temperature for them in that moment, but they need you to set an expectation for them that they won't always get what they want, but they will still be met with kindness. Because when toddlers are upset and we match their anger by getting angry back at them, it's almost like we're trying to show them that we're more angry and their anger is making us angrier, and it's just not needed. What does it help, really? What does it help? And this is me talking to my younger mom self now, because I did not need to go there. As a young mom with younger children, my patience was being tested for sure, but the older mom in me knows that I just did not need to go there. I did not need to be defined by my toddler's behavior in the store. I think I was more worried about what other people thought of me than what my kid actually needed in the moment. And this is what I will sit down and talk to parents about. I'll ask them in parent coaching, what are you most concerned about in this situation? Well, that your kid is being bratty. Remember in the last episode, we talked about not calling them names and not putting that on them. Are you concerned about what other parents in the store think, that you have to respond in such and such a way, or else you are being a super permissive parent and your kid's just being a brat? Like, it really doesn't matter what anyone else thinks. What matters is what your child needs in the moment. And that's all that we need to be concerned about, because leaders know their people, right? When you're a leader mom, you are the sturdy, steady base, and you know what your people need. So what everyone else thinks in Target at that moment does not matter as much as what your child needs from you in the moment. And if they need a hug to calm down, give them a hug to calm down. A hug is not a reward for bad behavior, mama. You are bringing them close to your chest and breathing with them and helping them to regulate themselves. And that's not a bad thing. That's not coddling. It's not. So let's unlearn these things we may have thought about permissive parenting or whatever you think it is, caring way too much about what the outside world thinks, and just be there for your baby. Elementary age kids, age 4 to about 10 or so. So your 8-year-old comes home and says that they hate their teacher and school is stupid and they're never going back. A regulated mom does not immediately jump to lecture or problem solve or say, don't say that about your teacher. You need to be more grateful that you're in school and da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay, the things that are not necessary. Instead, a regulated mom can respond like, wow, that sounds like you're having a really hard day. You want to tell me about it. Your kid comes home complaining Our first instinct does not need to be to correct the fact that they're complaining. In fact, they need to complain in a safe place. And maybe our home can be that for them. It's okay to allow them to vent. If anything, you want them to vent their frustrations to you, because when you tell them things, when you're constantly correcting them about how they are communicating to you, they're not going to feel safe communicating to you. So you want them to share with you, because what they're feeling is what they're feeling. Don't you want to just do that when you call a friend and you just want to vent to them? You don't always want them to give you solution or to say, Jen, that's, you have a really critical spirit right now. And maybe you should think about, maybe we should pray and make all this go away. No, that's most likely not what we need in the moment. We need to be heard. We need to be seen, and we need to be loved for who we are before the next phase comes. Okay. So an emotionally regulated mom will create a safe space for her child instead of trying to fix it or shut it down. Okay. You're being a leader who listens before you direct. Listen before you direct. Maybe your 6-year-old spills an entire cup of juice or milk all over the table. And I know for some of us, spills are really, really, really triggering, because it means more work for us, right? Hey, it doesn't have to. This is where your training can come in. This is where, we spilled. Okay, what do we do when we spill? All right, you get the paper towel, you get the spray, come on. And we involve them in cleaning it up. Do not jump on correcting their mistakes or cleaning up after them right away. You have them come and be part of it, and just continue the conversation. It's fine. It doesn't need to be a bigger deal than that. Allow your children to be human, because you are too. We all make mistakes, and you need to be a place where it is safe to make mistakes. The tweens and teen years, 11 to 18-year-olds. Okay, let's say your 13-year-old slams the door and yells at you, "You don't understand anything." A regulated mom does not take it personally. Or even, have you gotten this one yet? "I hate you. You don't know what I'm going through," and la, 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 la. I remember saying the same thing to my mom. Behind a closed door, actually. She tells me to go to my room. I yell at the door. I say, "I hate you." I kick the door. I remember acting like this as a teenager. And I just have to take a deep breath and go, your 13-year-old self had not learned how to regulate. But at the same time, being angry is okay too. Being angry is an emotion. It's an okay emotion. It's not, as long as you're not hurting other people with it, right? But when your teen takes it out on you like this, the number one thing is not to take it personally. A regulated mom knows that it really is not about her. It's not about you. Maybe wait a while and then gently knock and let them know, "Hey, I'm here when you're ready to talk. I'm here when you're ready to talk." Because you are that sturdy base for them. As a leader of teenagers, you are that sturdy base that they can trust to come home to. If you want a relationship with your children beyond their teenage years, be the sturdy base for them. Be a mama who knows that it's not always about you. It's about a lot of other things they're going through. Their brains are changing so much. Their hormones are thrashing them around. It's hard to feel steady as a teenager when your mom is over here freaking out about everything that you say to her, So remember, just like not all of your thoughts are necessarily true, not everything that comes out of your teenager's mouth is necessarily true or accurate, or how do I say, like the most reasonable thing you've ever heard, right? But just look at them like they're still learning. They're still learning. Listen, I love my teenager. My teenagers are hilarious, and I cope with a lot of their silliness sometimes by just being silly with them, right? We share memes together. We laugh about dumb stuff sometimes, and it's fun to be with teenagers. But when they're being unreasonable or they're not planning things quite right, or, they're learning time management too, right? So the best that I can do is just say, hey, here's the truth. Here's what can be. You have a choice. You can choose this or that, and it's up to you, right? So a large part of our relationships with our teens and helping them to emotionally regulate is to let them know what's normal, what's unreasonable, what choices they have, and the fact that you're there for them. Okay, let me know when you figure this friend hangout time. Let me know when you need me to be there to drive you or whatever. Just communicate with me, and I'll do my best to communicate with you. So we're sharing that trusting, communicative relationship together. So the pattern I hope you see here across the age ranges is, instead of reacting, we can respond. And responding takes more thoughtfulness than just reacting out of our feelings in the moment. Before we continue, I want to tell you about something that's helped me to work through so many of these patterns. The Dream Reconnection Journal is specifically designed for mothers who feel like they've lost themselves in this period of motherhood. It's a guided process to help you reconnect with who you actually are through all the chaotic scenes of motherhood. Beneath all these roles and responsibilities, you are still in there somewhere. So reconnect. Get my Dream Reconnection Journal at jennifer-bryant.com or on the link in the show notes. Honestly, friends, I have done all the things that a dysregulated parent would do. I have yelled, I have hit, I have punished, I have thrown kids in their room, I have told them to shut up, I've told them to be, I've many things that I would take back. But the point of moving forward in parenting is, yes, to acknowledge the mistakes that we've made. Let's not gloss over things. Let's not avoid the fact that we've made unwise choices in the past, okay? So let's continue to be honest with ourselves so that we can move forward in health. It was in those moments when I realized my thermostat was broken. I was leading like a toxic boss, and I did not want to be that anymore. And it was usually when I looked at my kids' faces and I knew that there was a disconnect and I had caused it. I'm the adult in this relationship, right? I am responsible for helping to mend and repair things that have gone wrong. As the leader, we have to take responsibility for what has been our part, what we can do better, to lead our kids into a better situation, and to help to mend the relationship between us. That is up to us. Here's what no one tells you about motherhood. It will bring to the surface every unresolved issue that you have, every wound from your childhood, every pattern that you thought you've outgrown, every insecurity you've tried to hide. It brings it right to the surface, because kids don't let you hide. They push every button. They need you at the worst possible moment sometimes. They require a level of selflessness and emotional regulation that will expose every crack in your foundation. This is where the concept of family of origin becomes so important. Your family of origin is your first experience of leadership. The adults in your life were your first bosses. And just like in corporate culture, that leadership style gets passed down until someone breaks the cycle. Maybe you grew up in a home where emotions were not allowed. And so when your kids cry, you feel like it's a bad thing and you need to make it stop because it's making you uncomfortable. And this isn't because crying is bad. It means that crying feels unsafe to your nervous system because it wasn't allowed. Maybe you were yelled at a lot as a kid. Maybe you were always told that you were being too much or too needy, told to be quiet, yelled at for crying, for needing anything. So now when your kids are loud or needy, you react in the same way. You react with what you were taught: anger and shutdown. Maybe you were raised in a home where you were praised for being perfect, for performing. And now when your children make mistakes, it makes you angry because you don't know how to tolerate imperfections. Their behavior feels like a reflection on your failure, which is not true, Mama. It's just not true. Friends, these patterns are endless, but being aware of them is our first step to healing. asking ourselves, I wonder where this feeling comes from, identifying where it comes from. And okay, that did happen. But what is going to happen in the future, I have more control over. I can break these patterns that are not helpful, and I can form new patterns that are helpful. It's just like when we change the wiring in our brain, we do it by repeating the truth to ourselves, by saying what is true and stopping the behavior that reflects what is not true. Remember, we cannot change what we don't acknowledge, and we cannot heal the things that we keep hidden. So what can you begin to acknowledge today? What about your behavior patterns or your reaction patterns? Can you tell yourself, wow, this is how it has been, but this is how I want to change it? You have the power to do that, friend. You can. How you parent now is your responsibility. It's not a burden, it's an opportunity to change for the better. If you want to create a better pattern of parent-child connection for your kids, it's possible. You just have to take preventative action. You have to choose to grow in emotional intelligence now, starting right now, today. You can do it. The cycle you create now becomes their family of origin. It's so cool. You can create a whole new thing by just doing things differently, making the necessary changes. And that's where the hardest work is facing yourself. Friend, facing yourself means doing these 4 things. Are you ready? Number 1, stop medicating your emotions. And I don't mean stop taking medication like if you need it for your physical or mental health. I'm saying notice behaviors like going shopping when you're stressed, overeating, indulging in a little too much alcohol. Maybe it's cigarettes. Maybe it's another form of nicotine. Maybe it's anything that you use or do to suppress your feelings and keep yourself from feeling them. All of that is known as self-medicating. And we cannot self-medicate and avoid the process and the feelings that we need to feel in order to heal. Remember, you can't lead other people through emotions that you won't allow yourself to feel. If you don't go there yourself, you can't lead your kids there. Number 2 is get help. You cannot heal in isolation. You need support, whether that's going to therapy or getting a coach or meeting with someone regularly and telling them what's going on. Someone who won't blame or shame you, someone who can be there to support you through all the messy feelings. Maybe it's joining a community of moms who get it. I know it's hard to make friends these days. We feel like we're all on our little solo islands of, social media or our own little community neighborhoods, but do your best to try to find a community of moms, whether it's a Moms in Touch group or maybe it's a church group, maybe it's a homeschool co-op, maybe it's a group that has common interests, or maybe it's a run club or a hiking group or something. I know there are lots of things out there. You just have to take the initiative and look for them. So think about it this way. If we're talking about motherhood as leadership, you would not expect a CEO to lead a company without the proper training, right? That would kind of be nerve-wracking to me. Would you expect a manager to form a healthy team culture without some leadership training? No, you'd pick up a leadership book, right? Or you'd listen to a podcast like this and get more information on how to lead well. In the same way, we can't expect ourselves to lead our family with 0 emotional training, right? This is why emotional intelligence is so, so important. And even leaders of companies are realizing that EQ, otherwise known as emotional intelligence, is so much higher on the list now rather than just degrees coming in with all this education and not a working knowledge of how to work with people is what leaders are seeing is kind of the downfall of a lot of cultures right now in the corporate world, in the business world. And I'm here to tell you that emotional intelligence is one of the foundations of family life. Number 3, practice nervous system regulation. Learn about what calms your nervous system. Maybe it's the deep breathing. I would definitely start with deep breathing. It's a big one. Maybe it's deep breathing. Maybe it's walking. Maybe it's getting out of the house in some way, shape, or form, and into an area that's more relaxing. Maybe it's prayer. Maybe it's journaling. Find the thing that helps your body to calm down. Whatever it is, build it into your daily life, because it's just as important as brushing your teeth, taking a shower, getting dressed. We need to regulate ourselves so that we can move forward well. And number 4, repair when you mess up, because you will mess up. You will lose your temper. You will say things you regret. You will, because you're human. Go back to your kids and say, I'm sorry I yelled at you. Please forgive me. I should not have done that. I should have done it this way. This is what a do-over looks like. Can I get a do-over? Let's do a do-over. Get in the do-over mode of things, because it also teaches your kids that they're allowed to mess up too. It shows them that even leaders get it wrong sometimes. And it speaks so well of you and allows you to be more trustworthy when you are able to own and admit your mistakes. It's one of the best things you can model for your kids, is apologizing when you make a mistake. Listen, Mama, you are the thermostat of your home. You are the leader. And this is where our framework, courage, confidence, and calling, fits into this message. Courage. You need the courage to face the parts of yourself that you've been avoiding. You need the courage to acknowledge your triggers, maybe your trauma, and your behavior patterns. It's not easy to look at ourselves and be completely honest. It takes courage to look at how you were led in your young life and what you want to keep and what you want to change about that. It takes incredible courage to say, no, I need to grow my emotional intelligence. I need to break this cycle. When you take on the courage, then you can grow in confidence. You can say, not in perfection, but in your capacity to grow. Confidence that even when you fail, you can repair. Confidence that you can become the kind of leader that your children need. Confidence that you are enough, even as you're growing. And finally, calling. Motherhood is sacred work. We've said this before. We'll keep saying it. Raising emotionally healthy humans is one of the most important things you'll ever do. Your calling as a mom is worth fighting for, because that cycle that you break becomes their foundation. If you're ready to do this work, if you are willing to become more emotionally regulated, I would love to work with you. So I want to extend this offer to you of coaching. In the new year, I am taking 10% off of all of my coaching packages just for you podcast listeners. So when you reach out to me at jennifer-bryant.com, tell me that you listened to the podcast. Tell me that you heard this episode and you want to take advantage of coaching in the new year. I would love to have a free 30-minute consultation with you just to meet you, figure out what you think you need, and how we can maybe work together. Friend, I promise you that an investment in yourself is investment in your entire family. So let's work on repairing your thermostat, and contact me today to coach at jennifer-bryant.com, or the links are in my show notes below. Thank you for being here with me today. If this episode resonated with you, would you do me a favor and share it with a mom who needs to hear it? Also, reviews are incredibly helpful. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, please rate and review the show below. It helps us to be seen by more people. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Today with you, friend, to help you to find the courage to have confidence in your calling as a mom. And until next time, remember, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep growing. Bye-bye.